Hello, hard at work on mulch. We are on version 0.2.32. Here is the help screen. Alright, so these are shown in alphabetical order. I need to provide some guidance on which order they should actually be used because it is particular. I'll demonstrate. We have an empty. We also have no mulch folder. So first things first, mulch, seed. We can also use the edit flag. We're not going to. It'll prompt us if we don't. Would you like to edit the scaffold now? Sure. Alright, that's our scaffold. I don't think you guys can see that because that's up at the top of the screen, so we're just going to ignore it. Control X. Alright, mulch, show. Bang, that's the scaffold. And it says it loaded the scaffold from .mulch.toml. We go back to ls.mulch. Look, there's a mulch.toml file in there. This is the same as mulch.show basically. Sort of. We can also run mulch order to look at the fallback, so it can also pull from other places and the order of respect. So the only one that's available is the first one, that local one, that local mulch toml in the .mulch folder. So it's that's the only one we've got. We don't have any fallbacks in this case on this system. So if it didn't find the local one, it might try to use the fallback. Kind of nice that they're there. We can say mulch show 1. Hey, cool, there it is. Mulch show 2. Nope, not found. Oh, I need to fix that. We got a small problem. Need to deal with that error. It should just say, hey, can't find it. Alrighty, what else? Mulch help. So we've seeded our local scaffold. We've decided what kind of project we want to build. Usually, you know, if you're actually building something, it would be a bit more hands-on. So what it should do is it should use one of the fallbacks that you've set locally as saying, hey, this is a standard for my system, as opposed to going back to the fallback that's embedded in the code. I should also use that in the order. I should show that in the order as well. It's not shown. It just looks at the system. But that's kind of the idea, is that it'll fall back to the standard that you've already set manually on your system, and then you can edit from there. So there's less editing involved every time you set up a custom project. But usually you'd say, hey, what do I want my project to be shaped like? In this case, our project is going to be shaped like this. This is a scaffold of directories. Data directory, secrets directory, subdirectories inside of that. This is going to place some files that might be templated. We actually don't have that functionality built out right now. Right now it's just placing empty file names. Or if the file is provided in the mulch source code, packaged, when I package it, when I build it, it'll copy it. But I need a way for y'all to be able to place in a templates or a files or just a directory that needs to be cloned. And it can have filled files or templated files. But we're still looking at that. You know, this isn't ye-oh man yet. We're getting there. All right. So now the big thing that we really want is source and workspace. So there's a new issue that's come up where you really want to run workspace before you run source. At least once. Because the idea is you'll run source once to generate source code that intuitively, introspectively knows the location of all your various workspaces. But there's options for where you can put your workspaces. And to understand that and be fully informed, that needs to be known about where you're going to put things. So you can either put them here or not here. So if we say workspace here, that built a workspace here. If we don't use the here flag, it'll use the default name and it'll put it in workspaces along with the default file. Guess what that default file does? It points to the workspace. That says, hey, that's your default. That's the first one you built. So you can make more. You can also do this and that'll use whatever the standard is on your system. So in like Thunar or Dolphin, I think the workspace is capitalized. Some of them are lowercase. If this was on Windows, it'd be lowercase, and if lowercase, and if this was on Apple, it would say untitled workspace to mimic the untitled folder. It kind of invites the user to edit it. And that's all about the right-click context menu functionality. A user should be able to say, right-click mulch workspace, and it'll generate a new folder. And it'll say new workspace. And because these aren't just folders, let me point that out. Each of these is filled with the templated, scaffolded structure that you identified in the mulch.toml. And they're all filled that way. Anyhow, all right, so what now? Mulch source. What's this gonna do? Hey, look at that, built some source code. It built source code with the same project name. How Pythonic. Hey, there's a workspace manager. There can be other source code elements, I just don't have those built out. This is the most important one to my purposes though. So this code knows where the directories are that you scaffolded. And so you can say which workspace is my active workspace, and now you can say, hey, go to the export directory on my active workspace. Boom, it knows where it is. You change your active workspace, go to my current export directory. Boom, it knows where it is. Get from my config directory, my secrets directory, my import directory. Boom, it knows where all of them are. This is the quarterback. Workspace manager is the quarterback. It knows where all the receivers are. Excellent. Cool. What now? Another thing you can do. Mulch SRC. Stealth. Huh. It put source code into the .mulch file. Why is that? The reason is because the hidden .mulch folder is meant to configure from this directory how the default organization will be run and scaffolded for this set of projects, this project in Python parlance, and this set of workspaces. So if you have a bunch of different meetings and you need to aggregate files from all those meetings, or you have a bunch of different data sets, but they're all similar in the way that they had like experimental trials run, you can say, hey, they're going to be the same way every time. Let me scaffold those. And now you can go pull data from all of them as you write your source code. But let's say you're in a SharePoint, and let's say you work in an office with some people who are not Python developers. They're not trying to develop a Python program with you, so you could use it to develop a Python program if you're a Python developer. Let's say you're not doing that. Let's say that you are in a shared SharePoint directory tree. At some point in that directory tree, you say, hey, here's this project we have. We're going to have a bunch of different workspaces for the same project that are going to be similar for different companies that we, record data in a similar way, different data sets that we record in a similar way, different meetings that we have that we, take notes in a similar way every time we have a meeting. Okay, great. Let's use mulch. Let's mulch that scaffold. Now, so let's say you're the super user, you're the developer. What can you do? Let's make another one here. Let's go up one. Let's make a new thingy. Make dir user facing. CD user facing. Great. Okay, here we are. What would I do? I would say mulch seed. Bang. I will accept my fallback default scaffold. Yes. Oh, oops. I accidentally edited it. My bad. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's there. ls.mulch. Banger main. There's a mulch.toml. We're all the way in. This thing is ready. We have our scaffold defined. We're ready to use it. Now, if I'm user facing in a shared directory where other people are going to be using this thing, and I want to provide them with right-click context menu functionality so they can say, make new workspace, and it just rolls out for them the same way every time, what are we going to do? First, we're going to say, let's make a fresh workspace. Make the first one mulch workspace. Here, and we're going to use pattern new. Bang. That's going to create a new workspace right there at the root where they can find it inside this project for this set of workspaces. That's what they expect to see in an office setting. It gives them a very inviting name for them to edit it and change it right now. Hey, it just shed a new folder. I don't want to call it new folder. That's dumb. Let me edit it. I right-clicked. It made it. So this is usually the command when you right-click in the mulch context menu, which you can install with mulch context. It'll run this command. Even though it says mulch workspace, it actually means mulch workspace here with pattern new. Great. Make another one. Great, it made another one. Okay, you'd edit that too. Now, you are a super user. You want to write code to analyze the data that your users are putting into the shared SharePoint directory. You want to be able to pull the data, or the files, or the documents, or the spreadsheets, or the emails, or whatever that they're putting for these different workspaces. How are you going to do that without bothering anyone if you're all working in this directory? You're going to put it in the .mulch folder using stealth mode. Like so. Boop. There it is. All right, so now you've got a project name, and there's your workspace manager. And guess what? It knows the relative path of where stuff is for the different workspaces. Now, there's actually, so this is kind of the basic idea, was you would have this relationship between where's the source code, where are the workspaces. Now, hypothetically, you could also feed in paths. So those are also registered now. Is this in this version or is it in 33? Let's find out. ls.mulch. There it is, reference lock. Yay, we have a reference lock now. Boom. Every path that gets generated, it knows where it is. It also knows where your SRC is. Yay. Fantastic. So, if you were to say make more workspaces, and you didn't do it here, and you did it like this, what is it? Date. Just for fun. Do a couple of these. Okay, so now you've got workspaces in root, and then you've got workspaces in a workspaces directory. I use two different naming conventions just for clarity. One is much more, so inside the workspaces directory is much more developer facing, right? And inside root is much more user facing. Fantastic. I don't know how to use them in conjunction with each other. Before you kind of had to pick one. Now you could hypothetically use both. I don't know how you're going to do that. We recently got rid of the stealth flag on mulch workspaces. Hypothetically, you used to be able to do that. Don't do that. That doesn't work anymore. Not available. Yep, see, no option stealth. Good. Too confusing. We don't need additional workspaces folder inside .mulch. You can figure that out if you want to figure that out. If you have a use case for that, please contact me. But we're not doing that right now. Also, what happens if you run mulch SRC and mulch SRC with stealth? So now you have two different sets of source code. I really don't know what your use case is for that. I'm already like handling too many use cases right now for a project of this size, which is actually meant to be pretty simple. So if you've got use cases for like multiple sets of source code, then like by all means. But I don't need to facilitate that at this juncture. I'm sorry. Let's see. So if we run cat.mulch reference lock. Cool. Let's see. So right now it only allows one set of source code. And it's updating the most recent one. So I should probably change that to allow a list of sets of source code, just in case someone gets wacky or runs the command again on accident. They can go back and they can see what they ran originally rather than having it overwrite. That would be much safer. And it would potentially unlock more use cases and be extensible. But yeah, so that's what we're up to in mulch. I think we're on 0.2.32. So thanks for watching. Get weird. Go out there and get weird. I really owe you guys. I mean, so I actually haven't been testing the workspace manager. I haven't been writing projects this way. Hopefully this will help me set up projects a lot faster. But I haven't been using the source code in production. I've been building the tool to build the source code. So next kind of comes like, you know, templating and source code building. Actually to see, you know, service and to get tested in service. And then we can see how things go in terms of references and how clean it is. And templating is going to be the next big thing, like leveraging Jinja, or, you know, putting a wrapper over cookie cutter or whatever for some basic templates. You know, that's going to be how this thing really gets unlocked. So that's what's coming next. So thanks for watching, crew. Have a great one. Bye.